don't beat yourself up if the intensity isn't there, but just stay consistent, even if it's a little bit less than what you normally do. So that's what the holidays look specifically for me is like just staying consistent, like you said, Jen, like staying consistent with my water, controlling what you can control. I can control my water intake. I can control my movement, even if it's less. I may not be able to control what food is being served to me if I'm going to a party, but I can control my portion sizes, right? So control what you can control and, consistency over intensity.
Welcome to Salad with a Side of Fries. I'm your host, Jenn Trepeck, talking wellness and weight loss for real life. We're here to clear up the myths, misinformation, bad science, and marketing to teach you how to eat and how to cheat. Are you ready? I'm having salad with a side of fries. Hey friend, welcome back to Salad with a Side of Fries. I'm your health coach and host, Jenn Trepeck, always here with you every week for wellness without the weirdness. And joining us today, I have 3 new voices for you, joining us actually from all over the Northeast of the US. So let me introduce everyone one at a time so you can connect their voices and their names. So first, Jessica is a personal trainer and gym owner joining us from upstate New York. Hi, Jess.
Hello, Jen.
Welcome, welcome. And then Heather is with us. Heather lives in New Hampshire. Heather's also a coach and does wellness program consulting too. Hi, Heather.
Hello, Jen. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. And Shannon lives in the Buffalo area of New York. And I will just say Shannon is just an entrepreneur and all around one of the most kind, generous humans I've ever met in my life. So Shannon, welcome.
I'm honored to be surrounded by the same is how I feel about each of you.
So awesome. I'm thrilled that you guys are all here. So full disclosure, we are all colleagues, right? Jess, Heather, and I all work with the same curriculum in our practices. So we've known each other for years and years. And I'm excited to introduce all of you guys to this incredible Salad with a Side of Fries community. So welcome officially. So this month, right, the whole month of December, I'm very keenly aware of the season. And so each week, we're focusing on different aspects to support you. So last week, we had Vince Sant with us to talk about what we called minimum effective dose of exercise and activity, so we can fit that into our days. And next week, we have a truly wonderful guest talking about emotional eating and the holidays. Today, though, we're talking about tips and tools and sort of the real life application of all this stuff to thrive through the holiday season and create a plan for 2025. So what do you guys think?
You got to strive to survive through 2025.
Perfect, Heather.
I'm looking to move in with momentum.
Love it. So we're going to hopefully create that today. Before we get into it, let's tell our members what they're getting this week. So members, your recipe this week is for protein-packed holiday cookies. Now, it's really just the dough recipe, and then you can cut them into whatever shape, holiday or not, gets you excited. There's protein powder in the cookie itself. There's also protein powder in the icing. So they're a win-win-win for the holiday season. And then because it's the 3rd month of the quarter, it's time for your quarterly live Q&A, which will be a one-on-one just you and me by popular demand. So your email on Friday will have the details to schedule a time that's convenient for you. So if you want this recipe or a one-on-one with me, be sure you're a member. Go to glow.fm/salad with a side of fries. For $10 a month, you get weekly recipes, a monthly article or tool, extra discounts from me and our partners, plus access to live Q&A sessions. It's a total deal. I say it all the time. It's a steal. When you take advantage of the full offerings, you save far more than that $10 cost. It's seriously a no-brainer way to show yourself that your health is a priority. Plus, being a member supports this podcast and this community so we can continue to bring you new episodes every single week. So remember, you're going to go to glow.fm/salad with a side of fries, or just click the link in the episode notes because that's a lot easier. Once you're there, you click the little I agree button and then support now, enter your email and payment info, click subscribe, and you're done. You'll get this week's recipe for the protein-packed holiday cookies and details for your quarterly live Q&A, just you and me. All right, friends. So creating a happy, healthy holiday season, that is a tongue twister, right? I say happy, healthy all the time, but I'm sort of curious, like, Heather, you just said it, right? We don't want to survive. We want to thrive through this season. So what are some of the things that you do for yourselves that, like maybe you're already doing because it's, we're into it at this point?
I think for the holidays, the key is preparation, right? People don't plan to fail. They fail to have a plan. So it takes minutes and seconds to prepare for the week's food, preparing before holiday gatherings and festive parties, preparing when you are invited out at restaurants so you do not sabotage your healthy and happy and fit goals. So for me, I always think day to day, week to week, where do I need to clean my environment in my workspace, in my home space, in my gym space, in my car space, wherever I am, to put healthy, like you said, protein packed snacks, fibrous foods on the go. So I'm not going to that drive through or grabbing that donut or that bagel or that muffin, or something that will sabotage my healthy and fitness goals.
Heather, I love that. And I think a piece of it is even like breaking it down further, right? Like you started by talking about a plan. And I think every time I think about it, and what I guide my clients to do too, is like to create the plan. Let's think about how we want to feel at the end, right? So come January 3rd, or even like this whole week, I have holiday parties like every single night with different groups. And so even how do I want to feel at the end of the night, tomorrow morning? And then also like, how do I want to feel in January? And then I kind of think about, well, what needs to exist for that to happen, right? Like I remember, so my family were big cruisers, and we tend to go on cruises like Christmas, New Year's time of year. And a million years ago, we would go and I could easily gain like 7 to 10 pounds, right, in the week. And I remember years kind of being like, you know what? I'm willing to gain weight, but like if it's 2 or 3, like I'm good with that, And then I was able to do that. And then I was like, you know what? Let's see if I can just maintain. And I had a few years where I just, could go on the cruise and do the things and maintain where I was. And then it got to the point where I could actually go on a cruise and remove fat while there because I focused on sleep. I know, Shannon.
Remove fat on a cruise.
But point is, right? Like it's possible if we decide what we want to have happen and then figure out what those things are. So it is getting to the gym every day and, on the ship or while traveling. And especially in these weeks when there's holiday parties every day, it is finding that movement. It is making sure I get my water in a day. It is, all those little things, Heather, like you were saying, having the snacks around that help us end up where we want to be. So thinking about that, right, for everybody, like, what does that look like? And I always say, we want balance. We don't want to necessarily only stick so rigidly to a menu or those, rules as people often follow them and not enjoy, right? So what is that balance? Like, Jess, what does that look like for you?
Yeah, Jen, I love what you were saying. And for me, I always, for myself and also my clients, I always tell them, I'm like, consistency over intensity all the time. So as long as you can stay consistent. So maybe before the holidays, you were, at the gym 7 days a week, lifting hard, maybe it's a walk around the block, so don't beat yourself up if the intensity isn't there, but just stay consistent, even if it's a little bit less than what you normally do. So that's what the holidays look specifically for me is like just staying consistent. Like you said, Jen, like staying consistent with my water, controlling what you can control. I can control my water intake. I can control my movement, even if it's less. I may not be able to control what food is being served to me if I'm going to a party, but I can control my portion sizes, right? So control what you can control and, consistency over intensity.
Yeah, I love that. So for everybody, go back. We have a nutrition nugget, C versus I, right? Which is consistency versus intensity. And then we did an episode a couple years ago this time of year called The Big C, right? Spoiler, the C is consistency. And, it's interesting because this time of year, well, a lot of times a year, people rely on a cheat meal or a cheat day And our longtime listeners know, go back to our episode, How to Cheat. The first piece of that is remove the word cheat from your vocabulary, right? Like the truth is, it all fits. It's all part of the plan. It's about, back to Heather's point, create that plan because it's all part of it. And then I think it removes a lot of that like push and pull that we can feel when we are making those more indulgent choices. Shannon, how is all this landing for you?
I am in a season of a very busy mom/professional role. And I know everyone has those feelings where they might have a little bit of a lighter schedule around the holidays, or maybe it just gets more intense. I find that I build into my schedule a little bit of downtime towards the end. So talk about the reward that you were just mentioning. I look forward to thinking about that. I think about how I want to feel in January for sure. And usually I put into my schedule something that I know that I'm going to be surrounded by either friends or colleagues that are health minded. So I also am like building in that accountability a little bit to myself, knowing that I want to feel well, but still celebrate. So I'm big on atmosphere, what I place around myself. I know this sounds silly, maybe. I don't know. I wonder if all of you do this. I drink water out of a wine glass. I don't even drink wine, and I'm certainly a lightweight. Yet I just feel like I want to celebrate my choices. And it's such an easy win for me. I just feel I'm sort of always looking for the hacks that for myself, or I have a simple routine of getting in movement, but it's when I wake up, I instantly get to the floor. Isn't that weird? But I'm instantly like, okay, just start movement, Shannon. And all of a sudden I can do some crunches and I can do some leg lifts. And I trick my brain to get into some action before the rest of the world that I love to serve and absorb gets to me.
Yeah, there's so many pieces in there to highlight. I think, first of all, I love putting your water in a wine glass, right? Also, for anybody who's maybe a little more self-conscious of drinking less or not drinking, I think the water in a wine glass is a piece of like, no one says anything when it's a wine glass in your hand.
It's so good.
Right? No matter what's in it, nobody says anything if it's a wine glass. So I love that. Talk about tips and hacks, right? And the other thing that you talked about is who you're surrounding yourself with. And this is such a piece of, for me, what the holidays are all about. There are other people who don't necessarily love their family. And so holidays are more challenging for that. But then whatever it is for you, finding the joy in the season. And then the other thing that struck me is, with the accountability and community around you, Shannon, I know you, share with them what your focus is. And so it creates some of that care and accountability rather than maybe what we often expect people to do, which is that they say, oh, well, you can have just one. Like people don't necessarily want to be the subtle saboteurs. They just also don't necessarily know what it looks like to support us. So I think adding to what you were saying, Shannon, I think another tip would be tell them what you want them to do. What would it look like to support you?
Yes. I did that recently within this year where I was around a lot of incredibly social individuals. And it was fascinating to me to watch the journey. At first, when they knew that I had a wellness focus and a goal, I shared it with them just casually when we were out. It wasn't like an announcement or a declaration. Not that that isn't awesome. Just was natural conversation when they went to offer me some alcohol. And I, like I said, very social creature, yet I don't necessarily drink that much myself. And so when offered it, I just shared, I'm putting a focus over these next X amount of days and looking to pay attention to feeling great in my jeans, right? I just kept it light. And then the next time I saw them, they offered it again. And I shared very simply. And they were like, oh, I forgot. Like, we don't want to kill the vibe around us. We want them to celebrate however they want. And, and then the next time I felt a little bit of pushback, maybe like, oh, well, Shannon's not fun, but they saw what I was doing. And then the next time, it was so fun for me. The next time they said, wow, I'm celebrating you. And then they started to ask me for some suggestions on how I did that journey. So it was really cool, like social experiment for me that I ended up inspiring some others to feel great themselves. And that felt beautiful by accident, right?
Yeah. And what a gift, right? Just by being who we are and doing the things that make us feel our best can just inherently, overflow into those around us. And yet back to Jess's point of the consistency, like Shannon, it was your consistency in that led to that impact on the others.
Because I could have easily first, second, or third, interaction been like, you know what, let me put that off to the side. And it was so cool to get to that fourth interaction and have that be the experience. Yes.
Yeah. And I think that reminds me too of like when we go to these events or we go to someone's house or people are all bringing things and they want you to try their food or the thing that they made, right? We end up with all the food pushers, So often, right, if we can recognize that what they're looking for is like for us to affirm them, right? We can do that. We can give them what they're looking for, even if we didn't taste it. Or even if we used the 3-bite rule and had 3 bites of it, like I'm even thinking of Thanksgiving when there was stuff there and I was like, you brought that? Oh my gosh, and people were like, oh, thank you so much. Right. I didn't have to taste it to say that, but we can give them what they're looking for and still maintain our objectives at the same time. Another little tip hack when you're at these events, right? Start with your protein, start with your fiber, and then have the starches and the grains after that, remembering the 3-bite rule. Remember, have your dessert right after the meal rather than later sort of sugar bombing your body. Any other tips, tricks, hacks that you guys want to mention?
I think that's great. It's like self-validation, when somebody tries to suggestively sell whatever they've made or they've contributed to the gathering, right? And, I think in this day and age, it is common knowledge and more so widespread that people are self-advocating and taking responsibility for their health, and whether they're gluten sensitive or whether they're intolerant or whether they have allergies or whether they're not eating grains and starches and desserts. More and more respect is shared, like Shannon said, when it's transparent and when you're just genuine and you're honest and you can validate that person by saying, wow, that dish looks great. I'll probably have a little bite in a minute or two. What are they going to do? Watch you the whole party to see if you had a bite? So, you have to say first, is what I'm doing in line with what my goals are? And by having 3 or 4 or 5 bites of 3 or 4 or 5 people's stuff that I really don't want, that is not in line to my values and my goals. So I'm doing it really to solidify and validate them and not get me further as to where I want to be. I think it's great when you don't go to these parties or out to eat or these holiday gatherings hungry. Like you stated, you eat that protein and fiber and you create a little tapas or a poo-poo platter of great, healthy, low glycemic foods and snacks prior to getting there, right? It's the same concept as working moms when you go to the grocery store hungry, right? Totally sabotage what you're going to be bringing home because you want to get everything. So I like to have a little, protein and fiber and go and know that I can have a little and balance that.
Yeah.
So
yeah, 1,000%. Not showing up ravenous for sure. Jess, anything for you?
Yeah, that was definitely one thing I was going to mention too, with not so often. I know when I was younger, we wouldn't eat all day because we were going to this holiday party and I was going to eat a lot. And, and so I teach my clients a lot. I'm like, make sure that you eat very well, whole foods, protein, fiber before you go, because, if you're starving when you get there, you're going to make very poor choices, not because you don't have any willpower, but because your hormones are taking over, right? So if you can go feeling satisfied, you're going to be in more control over your food versus your food controlling you. So make sure that you eat a good wholesome breakfast before you go. Make sure that you get your exercise in before you go. Make sure that you're drinking water throughout the time. And also when we're talking about alcohol, because we have not talked about that, making sure that if you are going to choose alcoholic drinks, one, make sure that you're drinking water. You know, if it's one drink, one glass of water, like make sure that you're complementing the water. And I'm going to teach you guys how to drink here. If you are, I would choose not to drink, but knowing that that's not realistic for most people, you know, go for your hard liquors because it's not going to be as much sugar. You know, if you're going to mix your hard liquor, mix it with like a seltzer water without all the sugar. So you can still enjoy a cocktail without all of the sugar, but just make sure that you're drinking your water. Make sure that you're eating good whole foods before you go. You're going to make better choices while you're at the party. And go with a goal, like Heather said too, like have a plan of, you know, don't say, oh, I'm not going to eat, you know, the apple pie. Now I'm not going to have a drink. And when you realistically know you're going to anyway, then just be honest with yourself and say, I'm going to have a piece of pie and I'm going to have one drink. Because when we go in saying, I'm not going to do this, I'm not going to do this, all your brain is thinking about is what you don't want to do. So therefore you end up doing it. So it's like, just, you know, give in a little bit here and there. Don't go overboard. And have a plan. Like, I'm going to have one drink and, you know, and that's good. Or, you know, my father-in-law makes these huge cinnamon rolls, like the size of my head cinnamon rolls. And I'm like, I will eat 2 or 3 of those bad boys in one sitting. And I do it once a year. And I know that I'm going to feel awful for the next 2 to 3 days. And it's worth it to me because they're so delicious. So it's like, just have a plan and be okay with it. Don't say, oh, I can't believe I ate that. And, you know, forgive yourself when you do make poor choices because we all will eventually. So,
yeah, absolutely. I think the piece of what you're sharing that I think is so powerful is like the plan that we make that's unrealistic, but we think is what we're supposed to do versus the plan, like when we say to ourselves, well, I'm not going to eat the pie, I'm not going to have the drink or whatever, and then we do, that's when the guilt shows up. Mm-hmm. So if we make the plan, actually the plan, right, that includes those things, then that I think is where we can find the real joy in the season and thriving through the holidays, you know. And then Jess, even what you were talking about was making me think too of like setting ourselves up for the plan for the new year, which we're going to get to in a second. I'd be remiss if we didn't talk about 2 things. And one of those things is sleep and stress management. And I put those 2 things together because I think sleep is part of managing stress. Movement is part of managing stress. Find the things that we can do. Find the sleep, the normal bedtime, and the nights when we don't have the events or the thing, you know, like, as you said, Jess, even all day, sticking to your normal food routine, doing that with our stress management and our sleep becomes critical, especially this time of year. And then, Shannon, you brought this up, but it's like that rewarding yourself piece, right? Like, we don't have to wait for the new year to reward ourselves. Maybe it's buying ourselves a gift. Maybe it's having downtime. You know, do we want to get tickets to a concert or a show or go to the spa or find, you know, maybe go get a massage as an extra thing, right? But making sure that we're connecting that non-food related reward to the behavior and the emotions and everything that's happening around the season that we want to reinforce for ourselves.
Absolutely. I know, like, the walk is so magical to me. I remember back many years ago in the high school world of running indoor, outdoor, and cross country, right? That was like my world. I was a runner, and I think I ran my life out in that chapter. I haven't ran much since. And I used to think that walking was much more minimal. And now I just find so much, well, even beyond the quality of the physical walk, just being out in nature, talk about stress management, you know, of finding a way to be around the healthy vibe tribe that I have in my neighborhood, in my family, and just throwing it out there, when even in the cold where some of us live in the Northeast, it's like, wow, I don't know if I want to go outside. And every single time I do, and it's usually a friend that gets me out, I call my friend who's from Sweden. And she's like, there's no bad weather. There's just bad equipment that you're putting on. Right. Yeah. So I'm like, okay, suck it up, Buttercup. She does it. I can get out there. And then we have like a meaningful conversation about, our kids or whatever it is. And I just feel better. I think making one choice about that health inspires the next. And I find that sometimes I get that pressure around being out at fun activities like, oh, come on, just have a little dessert, or, oh, come on. As you were all saying about the plan, I find myself having a response back to that. And it is, my life is so full of celebrations. At some point, I just need to stop the madness and feel great the next day. So I'm good is usually, and I've even started to add in with love in my heart and in my voice. You're not going to bully me. I'm going to feel good tomorrow. Like that's like my phrase lately. You're not going to bully me. Cause I'm Rainbow and Unicorns girl usually. And they're always like, come on, have fun with me. And so I do my best to just stay in celebration mode and also honor what was important to me without making them feel any different about their choices.
Love it. Absolutely. All right. So with that, we're going to transition into taking all of this energy and, as Shannon, you said, momentum from the holiday season into the new year. Really quick, though, let's pause to highlight our partner for this episode. Oh, and we have commandeered the partner spotlight for ourselves. So friends, if you are a fan of Salad with a Side of Fries podcast and looking for how you can support us, we've got you covered with our awesome merch. So maybe this is the perfect reminder of your commitment to your health and a tool to help you keep going. So we have new items for this season that are all also great gift ideas. Whether you need a bigger gift or a smaller one, there are options, from new workout tanks and a gym bag to a bento box for lunch and magnets for your fridge that say protein and fiber. I think you're going to find some options that will be new favorites. So you can also still choose all your favorite #Team Salad and #Team Fries items are still there. You owe it to yourself and the people on your gift list to check out everything in the merch store. Plus, your purchase supports the show and all that we do for you. So head over to our website, browse the full collection, or simply text the word fries, FRIES, to 844-947-4846. We'll send a link right to your phone. Check out the full Salad with a Side of Fries merch line. Your purchase supports all the work we do here, shows your podcast pride, and maybe sparks a conversation for you to pay it forward and inspire someone else to change their health too. So again, simply text the word fries, FRIES, to 844-947-4846. This is a toll-free number. Standard text and data rates may apply. Okay, so I feel like our episode today is called Plan, Party, Prosper. So I feel like we tackled that, right, for the holiday season. And even with the new year, right, Plan, Party, Prosper is also on the table, right? So I want to encourage everybody. We did an episode a couple years ago called You versus the Diet Industry. And so this is the time of year where the diet industry legit has its crosshairs on you, on all of us, right? And as I say that, I realize that could sound maybe like fear-mongering. That's not what I mean at all. It's just the idea that this is their heyday time of year. And I think if we don't have a plan in place for ourselves, we're more susceptible to the marketing and the shiny object syndrome and the quick fixes that are likely too good to be true, right? But they are going to be everywhere. It is near impossible to escape them. So that's why we really want to have this conversation so that we can go through the rest of 2024 knowing what our plan is. And I think that's the other piece, like we were saying before the break, of Jess, you brought up, realistically, I'm going to have the pie, I'm going to have the drink. And I think part of what helps us do that and feel good is knowing what our plan is for after, the season of all of the events. So I want to talk about sort of the key elements that we would want to have in place for our New Year plan, right? One of those that we talk about all the time is, and Heather, you even talked about it before, the low glycemic impact nutrition. Fundamentally, we need a plan for the nutrition component, right? We always recommend low glycemic impact, but having that nutrition plan, what is it? Knowing what you're going to set out to do. And by the way, like Shannon, your best menu is likely not the same as my best menu. And that's okay, right? It's more important that we recognize that and we know that,
Absolutely.
What else do you guys think? Because I know us, we all function very similarly. What else would be on your list of like key categories of things to consider to have your plan for the new year?
One main non-negotiable, I know you mentioned sleep and I know you mentioned de-stressing, but the top priority and non-negotiable for me is exercise and fitness.
Yeah. And building muscle, right? Muscle dictates metabolism, as we always say. It's not about just losing weight. It's removing fat, really building muscle to improve health.
Correct. The more lean muscle, the more independence you have as a woman or man as you age and grow. So yeah, any type of exercise, I completely ditto what Shannon says. It's a stackable, simple habit is getting outside and walking. There's great little tips to increase that exercise metabolically for your heart rate and to create lean muscle by getting a weight vest or ankle weights or wrist weights. Something simple. You think it may not make a significant difference, but when you do it every day for 30 to 60 minutes, you add those 10 pounds, 20 pounds, where you're now doing strength training or resistance training with that cardiovascular activity. It is a dramatic impact in results, mentally, cognitively, emotionally, and physically.
Yeah, for sure.
I would definitely add the water component to it 100%. I think that is one that we don't talk about enough, especially with the new year. We're like, oh, diet and exercise, right? But without adequate water, then, the diet and the exercise is, whenever somebody is coming up to me and I've, been in this industry for 20 years and, former gym owner, personal trainer, people come to me with fitness, but when they want to lose weight, it's always going to be how's the sleep is going to be number one. How's your hydration? Two, nutrition. And then the fitness comes last. Because if you want to go all out on your fitness, now I'm saying like intensity, right? Not like Heather was saying, like going out for walks and things like that. But if you're looking to increase your performance, it needs to start with sleep and hydration, number one, because if you don't have those in alignment, you're only just going to be wearing your body down. You're not going to get the benefits that you're looking for. So I would say prioritize your sleep and hydration would be, at least for me, top priority. And don't mess with me around, my bedtime. It's like sometimes I will negotiate it. Oftentimes I do not. So it's like, nope, I want to sleep. And I have my jug of water with me to have a goal every day to finish that, amount of water every single day. So I would put those as top priority.
Yeah, for sure. And I think a piece of that's sort of inherent in the things that you guys just shared is education, right? If we think about the key factors and the categories of what we want to put in place for ourselves is a framework, having a framework of education, understanding to learn how the body functions, to learn what's really going to serve us. And that's inherent in what you guys were talking about. But I think it's really important to highlight it as a key component for everyone, because I think it's always critical, but also given what's happening in the US right now, especially when it comes to health information, we want to have a foundation of knowledge, awareness, and information, not just about how the body works in general, but how our own body works, to then be able to evaluate all of the information that's coming at us, right? Because that's, I think, when we end up in the shiny object syndrome of my friend's doing this, should I do that? Like every day we're trying something else because we're not sort of critically thinking about the other options and intentionally choosing what our plan is. So I would say make sure that there's some kind of educational piece to what you're planning to do in 2025. And then, Shannon, this comes back to something you were talking about, and we talked about even with the holidays, is accountability, right? Where's the buddy? Like, Shannon, your buddy and walking and having those phone calls, or somebody like, where's the buddy? Where's the partner so that we can borrow their commitment when we need it?
I've had so much fun with this because when we reverse engineer the successes we've had in life, it usually has something to do with someone else, whether it's structured or, just the bubble you're around because you go to work and see that person on a daily basis. And so there's always some interaction. I remember sharing information. I love absorbing content. And, I think we live in that world where we're scrolling and we watch something and we're like, wow, that's so interesting. I'd love to share it. And we might become a hub of gifting that information for others to do great things in their wellness, right? And I remember sharing some information to a handful of people, and I was so passionate about it that they automatically assumed I was doing it. And I thought to myself, oh boy, okay, well, you've already pushed that journey too far, Shannon. Now, why don't you do that? I never was sharing that I was doing it, but they just naturally assumed. And it was the best decision only because I was talking about it so much that I decided to bless myself with the same information. And I'm not necessarily a book club girl. I love it. I always have fantasies that I'm going to be able to enjoy that book club experience. And then I find for myself, I can sometimes just get stressed about finishing the chapter. And then I'm like, well, this isn't helping anyone, Yet I did step into the wellness audio book club, and it has been phenomenal. So I'm currently in an audio book club that had a wellness book, and it's been fantastic. And we can all do that with our own circle. I'm paying attention to it. I'm learning something new. I'm sad about, what we have to work with. And then I'm inspired at the same time about all the decisions that are being made and all the professionals that are shining light onto what is working and some of those foundations. So I'm just celebrating the win on a daily basis and not getting too discouraged or focusing too far ahead, because I can easily just sit in, I'll do that tomorrow. My thing that comes up to me every single day before I go to bed is, Shannon, you're either an inspiration or an example in every area of your life. So I plan on being around for decades, but if, this week I'm not here anymore, what am I the example of in every area? Obviously, in my physical health, was Shannon too busy and just wanted to care about everybody else, like a lot of women I know? And she wasn't taking care of herself. I know that if I want to independently get up and on the toilet in my 90s, I have to lift up heavy things and put them back down. Thank you to our dear colleague who put that in my mind, right? So are you waiting till tomorrow, Shannon, to be the example? Or I'm always looking at example, warning, and not getting too discouraged, but working on being that best version of myself the moment I wake up the next day.
I love it. You guys, this is why I said Shannon is just like this most incredible human. I want to add one more piece to this that made such an incredible difference for me in my own wellness, which was strategic supplementation. And we talk a lot about supplements, but Jess, this even goes back to what you were saying about people who feel like it's all willpower, but it's really their biochemistry that's taken over. And so I really feel like using vitamins, minerals, botanicals, not only can we rehab the metabolism and support all our efforts, but it feels like this weight lifted off of our shoulders to be able to do the things and execute on the things that we've committed to do. And because that played such an important piece for me, it is a piece that I use with all of my clients as well, that we implement into the system. And kind of, Shannon, you were even previewing what we all have in store. And so why we're all together for this and why we wanted to bring this to everyone is we're all about paying it forward. And I say it all the time. My mission is to help people help themselves. And so every single one of you listening can take these elements that we talked about and figure out your plan 100%. And we also wanted to make it really simple and easy for you to say yes to 2025 in reclaiming your health. And so together, we created the Healthy Vibe Tribe for 2025. And everybody listening has the option to join us and participate in that. Essentially, it is 12 weeks. You will have a daily tracking sheet for all the things that we talked about, right? Jess brought up water and Heather brought up our movement. And we talked about our nutrition choices and all the things. So you'll have a daily tracking sheet. We will have weekly calls or accountability groups, right? That include the education piece and the partnership piece and guidance. Like all of us are coaches in that. And we're going to feature different coaches every single week so that you get the experience and the guidance of qualified professionals and a personalized plan. So as much as we have sort of this, framework, it really is about each one of you working with the menu plan, and we'll help you get there, right? We're going to help you make sure that you have the right menu plan for you, but working with the systems and the structure that will work for you, in addition to all the other elements that we're going to make sure are in place. So I just gave sort of like the, 30-foot view. Why are you guys each so excited about our Healthy Vibe Tribe?
I think it's a great way, like you said, just to streamline what we are each passionate about and how we each live our lives, and therefore paying it forward to those that are looking, that might not have the knowledge base, might not have the support, might not have the tenacity to stay accountable and need that community and that camaraderie to tell them they can do it and that there is a way. And here it is. It transcends every body, right? Every body type. It transcends prejudice. It transcends age. It transcends experience. If we can each take control of our own health and leave a legacy. I'm a mother to 2 young boys, 11 and 13, and it's about mentorship and leaving a legacy to be independent in your own health and wellness, and then continue that and spring forward for many, many years and decades to come.
Yeah, I have chills as you say that.
I think Heather just said it all. I mean, I'm really excited about this because of, especially with the tribe part, because to Shannon's point, there's always out there, I call them your frenemies, where, they're trying to, they're not really trying to derail you, but they are. And this is a great opportunity to get that support, be around people that are going in the same direction as you are, and getting the education part of it. So that's why I'm really excited. I'm super excited to be partnering and locking arms with you amazing women and other coaches that are just so inspiring and empowering to be around. So I'm really excited about this Healthy Vibe Tribe for 2025.
I think January is such a special time. I know some feel like, oh, resolutions, or I've tried this, or they can actually feel polarized, and then sit in less than excited January, even if they had great hopes for it and all whatever has happened in the past. And I just love that it does feel like a fresh start when you have a community. And so I am so blessed to be around the 3 of you that really have a servant's heart when you are talking about making an impact with the days that we have. I feel it in you in every conversation I have, because you're all a friend of mine. So I do get emotional just thinking about, it's not about a program or, quarter 1 and what you're going to do. It's about, having an imprint in someone else's generational health. And so I'm looking forward to placing myself in the important category and being an example for my children that I have to be as well as possible so that I can be the happy healthy mom to serve all my friends and family the way I wish to. I think we all have had way too many connections, whether it's on our own personal family that was that warning of just not getting to their own health. And the last decade of my life, what do I want that to look like? I really want to be the rocking grandma that, can do a lot with the people that she loves versus being so concerned about not feeling well. Not about how old I live. It's about the quality of life I have in the days that I'm here.
I mean, the most beautiful sentiments all the way around. And it really is. I mean, that's where this came from. It's, as you said, Shannon, it's, the deep desire to give and help, and really because everyone deserves health. Like, this is not for the privileged few. And it is not only that, it is accessible and available to everyone who chooses that. So another piece of this for us was making sure that it is incredibly cost effective for everyone who wants to participate. So there is money involved, right? Money is a commitment. It's part of all of us saying, I am in, right? Opting in. But it comes down to about like $25 a week. And you're really getting the coaching for free. And with that, I also want to say, be careful that we don't mentally discount something if we don't spend a small fortune on it, because there is, this perception of value or commitment. So it's not totally free, right? But recognizing that we want to make this absolutely accessible. So grab a friend, do this with a buddy, so that not only do we have that accountability, but that joy and fun and partnership in all of it. And I'm trying to think what other details. Oh, so we start January 13th at 8 p.m. for our weekly Zoom. So January 13th, 8 p.m. So be sure in the episode notes, there's going to be a link. You can complete the form to show us your interest. You'll fill out a questionnaire. We'll be able to help match you with the best menu plan for you, some supplementation recommendations, and all the things so that you can jump into the Healthy Vibe Tribe for 2025. And, like I said, grab a buddy, do this. You don't have to do this, right? There are certainly a million ways to build a plan for yourself that has all the elements that we talked about. This is sort of the easy button for that, right? So Heather, you want to speak to, as I was saying, money is a commitment, right? So will you speak to that for a second?
So there's a value to everything. Free has no value. Therefore, for someone to take charge and take responsibility for what they're trading their time and money for, there has to be a value. And there will either be a value and a price you pay for your health, or there would be a value and a price, unfortunately, you pay for your sickness. You have the ability of taking control and accountability of your own health and wellness for 2025 with the Healthy Vibe Tribe by putting together a customized wellness package in accelerators, supplementation that will work best with your program and with your lifestyle to get you started. And in turn, you could pay it forward and give the gift of health. So it's Health Awareness Month for December and moving into the new year. Give the gift of health with also customized supplements to those that you care and love about who are interested in taking ownership of their health and getting started.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. I love it. And that's a piece. So you can opt in now, take the questionnaire now, make that purchase now so that you are ready for our first official call on January 13th. If you have any questions, you can reach out with the link below in the episode notes as well, or reach out to the person who sent this to you. So we're going to encourage everybody, send this around, share this with people who you want to be part of your Healthy Vibe Tribe. And let's really make it happen, because I will say, so statistically, 92% of people do not keep their New Year's resolutions past January. So how do we be part of that 8%? We say yes. We say yes to things like the Healthy Vibe Tribe. We say yes to accountability. We say yes to education. We say yes to all of the elements that will make the difference moving beyond January, right? So we can be part of that 8%.
Fiesta Healthy Hacks. And this is one of the most exciting tribes that I could even think to place myself in. It's not just about wishing that I'd like to step into 2025 with momentum. It's having that plan that each of you were talking about. So January, I am putting in my schedule in pen or digitally. I know, it's just the digital pen.
The digital version of pen. Yeah.
Yes. And I don't mind paying for speed. When I say speed, not fast results that are unhealthy, just paying for results because of the expertise that we are offering our community. I'm just so grateful to each of you. You have helped thousands of clients, and we get to enjoy January 2025 like we have never seen before. So I'm already celebrating.
I love it. And Shannon, that was a beautiful sort of final thought. So let's wrap this up. Jess, a final thought from you?
Link arms with like-minded people. You are going to get so much further when you surround yourself with the people that are going to move you forward. So that would be my final thought, is just link arms with other people that are going in the same direction that you want to go in.
Awesome. Heather?
Well, I would say share if you care, right? If not me, who? And if not now, when? The bottom line is, if you look at your past, it's gone by, right? In the blink of an eye. As they say, the future is unknown. The present is a gift. So the gift of health is the best gift that will keep on giving. So I thank you, Jen, for your time, and Shannon and Jess for your support. As always, it's a pleasure, and we can't wait to get started January 13th.
Absolutely. And friends, I think, wrapping up our whole conversation today, allow yourself to enjoy the season, right? Know that enjoying the holidays is really living in it, being present to it, and not giving yourself reasons to beat yourself up, right? So for me, that's always been having that plan, not just for the moment, but also for what's next. So I hope that this gives you that so that you can enjoy, what's left of 2024 and really move into 2025 in a super powerful way. So, all right, really quick, everybody, we're going to preview our Nutrition Nugget segment. So this week's bonus episode Nutrition Nugget is called Second Time Around. So 'tis the season for thinking about next year, like we talked about in this week's episode too. So on Friday, we're going to talk about the value of doing things again. So, often I feel like we want to just tick the box and move on, but maybe there's some value in a different approach. So we're going to talk about it all on Friday in this week's Nutrition Nugget bonus episode. Be sure to click the follow button or the plus sign in the app where you're listening, and then the app will alert you when it is live for you on Friday morning. Well, as always, everybody, I'm your host, Jenn Trepeck. Connect with me on Instagram or all social media. I am at Jenn Trepeck, JENNTREPECK. Website is asaladwithasideoffries.com. Pick your platform, send a message. I want to hear from you, your ideas, your takeaways. This is also the easiest way to learn more about working with me as your health coach or joining the Healthy Vibe Tribe in 2025. Thank you again to Shannon, Heather, and Jess for joining me on this week's episode. And of course, if you are not already, join our membership program by going to glow.fm/saladwithaside-of-fries. This shows your support for this podcast, this community, and for your health. You'll get this week's recipe for the protein-packed holiday cookies and details for your quarterly live Q&A, which is a one-on-one, just you and me. So until next week, remember, plan, party, prosper. 'Tis the season to enjoy. Enjoy the festivities, take care of yourself, and have a plan so 2025 brings you your every desire realized. Well, friends, that's it for today's episode of Salad with a Side of Fries. Congratulations for making yourself and your health a priority. Thanks so much for joining us. Be sure to click subscribe or follow on your favorite podcast platform. Share us with a friend, and we'll be back next week. Always remember, you deserve it, and you are worth it. Happy healthy.